Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula and thank you for stopping by. This video is slightly different from those that I usually do. I'm only going to briefly show you how to do some stamping to create watercolor-like images. I shared this butterfly card the other day and I got a few requests from my readers and followers to do a video and show how I was able to create the ombre look. So this is what this video is all about. I am not going to show you the full project, but only the stamping part. So this is the card I posted on my blog, and the background here is all stamped, and it was stamped using Butterfly Beauty stamp set from Concord in 9th. Here is the set, and it features 3 large butterfly images. In a way, this is a layering stamp set, but each layer can also be used all on its own. So there's the base, most solid layer, a solid detail layer, and also a detail outline layer. I used only the base, most solid layer to stamp the background or the pattern for my card, and to add additional interest to that image, I also used Hero Arts Ombre inks. If you're not familiar with these inks, these are dye-based inks. Well, they also have pigment ombre inks, but these specific inks that I have here are dye-based inks, and each ink pad has 3 sections. Each section is filled with a different ink shade, so when you ink up your image and stamp it, the impression goes from light to dark. Let me show you how each layer stamps, and I'll later show you how the layers look when they are combined. So I'm going to use the base, most solid layer first, and I'm going to ink it up using Butter to Orange Ombre ink pad. The way you ink up your images with these ink pads is you kind of have to do a little dance with your stamp and go back and forth to mix the ink from different sections of the ink pad and have a nice gradual transition of color. I'm going to stamp the image and voila, phenomenal result. Truly gorgeous and jaw-dropping effect, all from a single impression. Notice I didn't even use my Misty stamp positioner. I only stamped this image once using a clear block. And I actually prefer to stamp the image just once, meaning I do not like to do double or triple stamping using these stamps, as I feel I lose the detail that way. I'm also stamping the second layer using Ombre ink pad, and the way this stamp is designed, it always ends up being a lot darker on the bottom and very light on the top, even if you use a single layer, a single color ink pad. And finally, I stamped a detail outline layer. Now let's try to layer these images and see how they look together. I personally love to use the base, most solid layer all by itself, maybe with a detail outline stamped in a shade darker ink color, or maybe heat embossed in white, but you can definitely combine all of the layers together. Again, I'm going to use ombre ink pads. I'm using mint to green this time, and I'm inking my image up so that the darkest ink shade is at the bottom. Now for the detail layer, I'm going to use a slightly darker ombre ink pad. This is Pool to Navy, and I'm going to stamp this on top of the solid layer butterfly. So this layer adds additional texture and dimension and a lot of interest too. I'm going to finish this butterfly by stamping a black outline, and it finished this piece nicely. Now there's also a stamp to stamp the body of the butterfly, but I seem to have forgotten all about it, and I didn't add any color to the body, but you can definitely do with that. You can definitely add color if you want to. I also stamped the second layer together with the outline, and also the outline all on its own. So you get quite a lot of different options with this stamp set, and you can easily mix and match all the layers for fun results. You can also use just the outline stamp and say heat emboss it in gold or white onto watercolor paper and do some quick watercoloring. I'm really looking forward to doing that. You can by all means stamp these images using regular ink pads, but I wanted to spice my images up, so I went with ombre pads here, and I especially love the faux watercolor look I got when I stamped the most solid layer. I promised I would show you how I stamped the card, the background, so here it is. I started with mint to green ombre and stamped the first butterfly in the bottom left corner. Instantly, I got that watercolor-like look. I cleaned my stamp using Hero Arts Ultra Clean and a stamp chamois from Lawn Fawn. You want to make sure to clean your stamp not to contaminate your ink pads and also to get the true ink color when you go to stamp it. I also did a test impression onto my grid paper pad here before I stamped the image onto my cardstock panel, again to make sure I properly cleaned my stamp. I'm using pink to red ombre here, and again, I'm doing that little dance to ink up my stamp and stamping it onto my panel. I'm building my background, filling the space with colorful butterflies. Next, again, I cleaned up my stamp and moved on to the next color, butter to orange, and I kept on stamping butterfly images until I filled my entire panel. If you want to make several cards at once, you can also do your stamping on a full letter sheet and then cut it into smaller panels. I often do this when I'm using large size stamps and stamping a background pattern for a card. I have a few videos showing how to do that on my channel that I will link to. I heat embossed a sentiment in white onto black paper, and I also used Nuvo drops from Tonic Studios in several colors to add colorful drops onto my card. I did not have the exact colors to match the colors of ink I used, so I used what colors I thought would match best. I used apple green, English mustard, and rhubarb crumble. So this is it for today. Please let me know if you enjoy quick videos like this one. I might film them more often as they take a little bit less time. As always, I really appreciate your comments and feedback, and I'm beyond grateful to have you as my viewers, readers, and followers. Thank you. You can find more photos on my blog. I have a link to my blog post below in the video description. You can also find links to Concord and 9th and all the products I used to create this card in the video description. Thank you so much for watching and asking me to film this video. I'll see you next time. Bye!